The thunderclap shattered the sky like God's own fury, and in that split second, William's strong arms wrapped around me, yanking me back from the crumbling edge of the ravine. My heart hammered not just from the near fall, but from the heat of his body pressed against mine, his breath hot on my neck as he whispered, "I've got you. Kid, don't let go." And just like that, on a dusty trail in the Colorado Rockies, the world tilted, and I knew nothing would ever be the same. I never figured Jake's old man for the type who'd drag us out to the middle of nowhere for a weekend of bonding on horseback. William Hargrove was the epitome of that rugged American dream, tall, broad-shouldered, with salt and pepper hair that curled just a bit at the collar of his flannel shirt, and eyes like polished walnut, deep and knowing. He ran a small ranch outside Denver, the kind where the air smelled like pine and promise, and he'd built it up after Jake's mom bailed when Jake was 10. Divorce papers signed in a haze of bourbon and bad decisions, or so the whispers went. But William didn't talk about it. He just saddled up and rode into the dawn, leaving the ghosts in the rearview. Me? I was Daniel Ruiz, 19, fresh out of high school and fumbling through community college like a blind man in a hailstorm. Jake and I had been thick as thieves since middle school, him the golden boy quarterback, me the quiet artist sketching sunsets in the margins of my notebooks. We met in art class, where I was doodling cowboys instead of the still lives, and he laughed so hard he snorted milk through his nose. From there, it was sleepovers, stolen beers from his dad's cooler, and dreams of escaping our sleepy suburb for something bigger, brighter. Like, maybe, or New York. Anywhere but the cul-de-sacs that choked on their own conformity. That summer, Jake pitched the trip like it was the cure for all our postgrad blues. Dad's got this old trail he loves, up in the Flatirons. Horses, campfires, no cell service. Come on, Danny, it'll be epic. I said yes because saying no to Jake was like trying to stop a freight train with a feather. But deep down, it was William who hooked me. I'd always noticed him, how he'd ruffle my hair a little too long when I crashed at their place, or the way his laugh rumbled like distant thunder during barbecues. It wasn't just admiration. It was a pull, low in my gut, the kind that made me question every straight-laced sermon from my abuela about sticking to your own kind. We loaded up the truck at dawn on Friday, the air crisp with that high-altitude bite that promised adventure. William tossed my duffel in the bed like it weighed nothing, his biceps flexing under the faded Denver Broncos tee. "Ready to eat some dust, Daniel?" he asked, that easy grin splitting his face. I nodded, throat dry, and climbed into the cab beside Jake, who was already blasting some shitty country playlist. William drove, one hand on the wheel, the other drumming the dash, his wedding ring finger bare and tan-lined like a scar from another life. The drive wound up I-70, past boulder-strewn rivers and peaks that clawed at the clouds. Jake chattered nonstop about tryouts for the college team, that girl from Chem who ghosted him, but I kept stealing glances in the rearview. William's eyes met mine once, twice, holding just a beat too long. "You ever ridden before, son?" he asked over the engine's hum. "A couple times at camp," I lied. Truth was, the closest I'd gotten to a horse was a carousel at the state fair. But hell, I wasn't about to look like a greenhorn in front of him. By noon, we hit the trailhead, a dusty parking lot ringed by aspens turning gold with fall's first blush. William backed the trailer like a pro, unhitching 3 bays. Maverick, his steady old gelding, Scout, a feisty chestnut for Jake, and Luna, a gentle mare with eyes like melted chocolate, who William swore was perfect for a newbie. He adjusted her saddle with calloused hands, explaining the reins like a sermon. She's got spirit, but she's loyal. Treat her right, and she'll carry you through hell and back. His voice dropped on that last part, and I swear it wasn't just about the horse. Mounting up was a comedy of errors. Jake swung on like he'd been born in a stirrup, but I fumbled the stirrup, nearly face-planting in the dirt. William's hand steadied my boot, firm and warm through my jeans. Breathe, Daniel. It's all about trust. Our eyes locked again, and something electric zipped between us. Gone in a blink, but it left me flushed and fumbling for words. We set off single file, William in the lead, his broad back a beacon against the sagebrush. The trail climbed gentle at first, winding through meadows dotted with wildflowers gone to seed. Hooves thudded soft on the loamy earth, and the only sounds were birdsong and the creak of leather. Jake hooped now and then, urging Scout into a trot, but I hung back with Luna, her gait a soothing rock that matched my pulse. William glanced over his shoulder every few minutes, checking on me, his face shadowed under the brim of his Stetson. "How's she feel? Like flying?" I called back, and it wasn't a lie. The wind whipped my hair, carrying the scent of earth and him, leather, sweat, and that faint cedar cologne that clung like a memory. We stopped for lunch at a overlook, picnicking on jerky and apples while the valley sprawled below like a green quilt stitched with rivers. Jake sprawled out, scrolling his phone even though service was spotty, complaining about the lack of Wi-Fi. William and I sat a little apart, knees almost brushing, sharing a canteen. "Your boy's got energy for days," he said, nodding at Jake. "He's the best," I replied, but my voice caught. William's gaze lingered, tracing my face like he was memorizing it. "And you? What's your story, Daniel? Jake says you're the quiet one, but I see fire in those sketches you leave around the house." Heat crept up my neck. I'd forgotten about the doodles, horses mid-gallop, men with haunted eyes. Just messing around, trying to figure out everything. He nodded slow, like he got it. "Life's a long ride, kid. Full of forks in the road you don't see coming." His hand brushed mine as he passed the canteen back. Accidental? Maybe, but it lingered, rough thumb grazing my knuckle. I yanked away like I'd been burned, heart slamming. What the hell was that? Afternoon brought steeper climbs, the path narrowing to a ribbon of dirt hugging sheer drops. That's when the storm clouds rolled in, fat and gray, swallowing the sun. William called a halt at a fork, pointing left toward a sheltered ridge. "We'll push on, rain's coming, but the cabin's close." Jake groaned but followed, and I urged Luna after, nerves jangling like loose change. The thunder hit without warning, a boom that echoed off the rocks. Rain lashed down in sheets, turning the trail to slick mud. Luna spooked, sidestepping wild, and I gripped the reins too tight, yanking her head. She reared, hoofs pawing air, and I slipped, the world blurring as I tumbled toward the edge. The ravine yawned below, a jagged maw of rock and root, promising a quick end. Then William was there, maverick wheeling like a demon. He lunged across, arms snaking around my waist, hauling me onto his saddle even as Luna bolted. We crashed together against the cliffside, horses snorting steam in the downpour, my chest heaving against his. "Easy," he murmured, rain streaming down his face, mixing with the mud. "I've got you." I clung to him, soaked to the bone, the terror twisting into something fiercer, desire, raw and unbidden. His heart thundered under my palm, matching mine, and in that storm-swept chaos, I felt seen. Truly seen. For the first time. We made the cabin as dusk fell, a weathered A-frame hunkered in a pine grove, smoke curling from the chimney like a beckoning finger. Jake stumbled in first, cursing the cold, while William and I wrestled the horses into the lean-to, rubbing them down with rough towels. Our shoulders bumped in the tight space, sparks flying unspoken. "You okay?" he asked, voice low, eyes searching mine. "Yeah," I whispered, but my hands shook as I cinched the blanket. "Thanks to you." He cupped my chin then, gentle, deliberate, tilting my face up. Water dripped from his lashes, and his thumb traced my jaw, calloused and kind. "Brave kid. But next time, trust the horse." And me, the air thickened, charged like the storm outside, and I leaned in, lips parting on a breath. But Jake's yell from the door shattered it. "Dad, fire's lit. Get in here." And William dropped his hand, stepping back with a nod that said later. Inside, the cabin was all knotty pine and cast-iron warmth, a stone hearth crackling against the chill. We stripped to thermals, hanging wet clothes by the fire, and Jake cracked open a flask of William's whiskey, toasting to not dying today. Laughter bubbled up, easing the knot in my gut, but every glance at William reignited it. He moved like he owned the shadows, stoking the flames, boiling water for stew. His damp shirt clinging to the ridges of his chest, faint scars from ranch work peeking at the collar. Dinner was beans and cornbread from a mix, eaten cross-legged on the rug. Jake dominated the talk, reenacting my near spill with exaggerated flails, but William's eyes kept drifting to me, soft and stormy. After, Jake conked out on the couch, snoring like a chainsaw, leaving us to the fire's glow. William pulled 2 chairs close, handing me a mug of coffee laced with bourbon. "Can't sleep after a day like that?" "Not even close," I sipped, the burn steadying me. "You always this heroic," he chuckled, low and warm. "Nah. Just hate seeing good ones go down." His knee nudged mine, staying put this time. We talked then, really talked. About his marriage crumbling under the weight of small-town eyes. How he'd buried the hurt in hard labor. About my own secrets. The sketches I hid because they whispered truths I wasn't ready to voice. "Love's a wild thing, Daniel," he said, staring into the flames. "Doesn't give a damn about maps or timelines." My pulse roared. "What if it's complicated?" He turned, face inches away, the fire painting gold on his skin. "Complicated's just another word for alive." And then he kissed me, slow, searing, tasting of whiskey and rain. My world narrowed to his mouth, his hands framing my face, pulling me under like a riptide. It was everything I'd imagined in stolen moments, and more tender, fierce, promise wrapped in pine smoke. We broke apart gasping, foreheads pressed, the cabin silent save for Jake's snores. "This. Us," I stammered. "Shoo," his finger on my lips. "One night at a time, kid. That's all we get." But his eyes said forever, and in that moment, I believed him. Dawn crept in like a thief, gray light filtering through frost-laced windows, turning the cabin into a hush of half-shadows. I woke tangled in a wool blanket on the floor, William's arm slung heavy across my waist, his breath steady against my shoulder. Panic spiked first. Jake could walk in any second. then melted into a greedy warmth as I traced the veins on his forearm, memorizing the map of him. Last night replayed in flashes. His lips claiming mine by the fire, shirts shed in the heat, bodies colliding on the rug with an urgency that bordered on desperation. We'd been quiet, reverent, hands exploring like pilgrims at a shrine, his over the lean plains of my back, mine threading through his hair, pulling him closer. It wasn't just sex. It was confession, a shedding of skins we'd worn too long. He stirred, eyes fluttering open, that lazy smile breaking like sunrise. "Mornin', cowboy." His voice was gravel from sleep and secrets, and he kissed my temple, lingering. "Sleep okay?" "Like a rock," I grinned, but guilt gnawed at the edges. "Jake." "The trail." "Home." "What about?" "Later." He silenced me with another kiss, deeper this time, rolling me under him until the world blurred again. But the cabin door banged open. Jake, bleary-eyed and yawning, shuffling for coffee. We sprang apart like guilty teens, me diving for my boots, William stoking the embers with feigned nonchalance. "Rise and shine, boys," he called, voice steady as steel. Jake grunted something about eggs, oblivious, and I exhaled, heart still jackhammering. Breakfast was hasty, powdered eggs and instant joe, washed down with talk of the day's ride. The storm had cleared, leaving the air diamond-sharp, trails mud-slick but passable. William mapped it out on a crumpled topo, a loop through aspen groves to a hidden meadow, where hot springs bubbled like nature's own spa. "Good for sore muscles." He winked at me over Jake's head, and I nearly choked on my mug. Jake, clueless, high-fived his dad for the genius idea, and we saddled up under a sky scrubbed blue. The morning ride was magic laced with torment. We trotted single file again, William ahead, me sandwiched between him and Jake. Every sway of Luna's hips a reminder of aches in places I couldn't name. The aspens whispered gold, leaves carpeting the path like confetti from some forgotten parade, and mule deer bolted from the underbrush, white tails flashing. Jake ranged ahead at one point, chasing a vista for his Insta story, service be damned, and William reined in beside me, close enough our knees brushed. "You sore?" he murmured, eyes dancing. "A little," I admitted, heat flooding my cheeks. "Worth it." His laugh was a rumble. "Damn right." He reached over, squeezing my thigh, bold, possessive, then spurred ahead before Jake circled back. The touch burned through denim, a brand I carried the miles. Lunch was at the meadow's edge, a sun-dappled bowl ringed by peaks that jagged the horizon like God's own teeth. We hobbled the horses and unpacked, Jake diving straight for the springs, a steaming pool fringed with ferns, mist rising like spirits. "Cannonball!" he yelled, stripping to boxers and leaping in with a splash that echoed off the rocks. William chuckled, shaking his head, but his eyes on me held heat. "Join him, or stay." "Stay." The word hung heavy. Jake hollered for us, but William waved him off. "Go on. Scout ahead," and pulled me into the trees, out of sight. His mouth found mine fierce, hands roaming urgent, pinning me against a trunk that bit into my back. "Missed this," he growled between kisses, fingers slipping under my shirt to trace ribs, hips. I arched into him, gasping as he nipped my neck, the world narrowing to friction and forest hush. It was reckless, Jake yards away, splashing like a kid, but that's what made it electric, a stolen breath in a life of straight lines. We rejoined flushed and laughing, blaming the hike, and stripped for the soak. The water was molten silk, easing knots I didn't know I had, but sitting there steam curling, bodies half submerged, tension simmered. Jake floated on his back, eyes closed, droning about college scouts, while William's foot nudged mine under the surface, a secret Morse code. I met his gaze, bold now, and he mouthed tonight, promise dark as the depths. Afternoon blurred into a dream ride. Meadows giving way to pine thickets, the trail dipping into cool gullies where creeks sang over stones. Jake tired first, griping about blisters, so William suggested a game, trail stories, each rider spinning a yarn to pass the time. Jake went first, some half-baked western about outlaws and lost gold, complete with bad accents. Then me. I wove a tale of a young drifter finding love in a blizzard, words tumbling out laced with truths I'd never voiced. Loneliness like frostbite, warmth in unexpected arms. William listened rapt, his nod subtle approval, but when his turn came, he spun gold. Once there was a rancher, he began, voice steady as the hoofbeats, hardened by loss, building walls higher than any fence. Thought he'd ride solo forever, till a storm brought a stranger crashing into his world. Scared the hell out of him, that pull like lightning striking dry tinder. But he learned walls ain't for keeping folks out, they're for holding in the fire. He trailed off, eyes on the horizon, but the subtext landed like a gut punch. Jake hooped at the epic twist, but I felt stripped bare, seen through. We camped that night in a cirque of boulders, stars wheeling overhead like scattershot diamonds. Firelight danced on granite faces, turning the sight primal. Jake crashed early again, whiskey's fault, leaving William and me to the flames' vigil. He pulled me onto his lap this time, blanket draped like a cloak, and we made love slow under the Milky Way, bodies sinking like tides. His whispers were poetry, beautiful, mine, stay, each thrust a vow, each sigh a sacrament. Afterward, tangled and spent, he traced constellations on my skin. Ever think about leavin' this all behind, Daniel? Chasin' something real, all the time, my voice cracked. But Jake. And you. It's messy, he sighed, pulling me closer. Messy's the point. Life don't come gift-wrapped. Sleep took us like that, wrapped in each other, the night vast and forgiving. But morning brought the fracture. Jake woke us with coffee, a sharp, like he'd tasted the air and found it changed. You two were up late, he said, casual but probing. William laughed it off, storytellin' marathon. But Jake's glance lingered on me, a question unspoken. The ride down was quieter, the high fading into the valley's pull. We hit the trailhead by noon, truck humming homeward, Jake dozing in the back. William's hand found mine on the bench seat, hidden by his hat, thumb stroking circles. This ain't over, he murmured. Come back soon. I nodded, throat tight, but doubt crept in like fog. What were we chasing? A weekend fever, or something that could weather the real world? Back in suburbia, the illusion shattered. Jake invited me over that night for pizza and playoffs, but his vibe was off, clips in his throws, silences stretching thin. Midway through the third quarter, he muted the TV, turning with arms crossed. What's going on with you and Dad? My stomach dropped. What? Don't bullshit me, Danny. I saw the looks. The way you two orbit. In the cabin, heard shit. Whispers. And that blanket by the fire? Not subtle, His face twisted, hurt, betrayal, a brother's rage. He's my dad. You're my best friend. This is fucked. Words failed, panic clawing. It just happened. Jake, please. He stood, voice cracking. Get out. Just get out. The door slammed behind me, echoing like a gunshot, and I stumbled into the night, tears hot on my cheeks. Betrayed not just by the secret spilling, but by the fracture I'd caused in the only family I'd known. The days after blurred into a gray haze, Denver's autumn chill seeping into my bones like accusation. I holed up in my cramped apartment off Colfax, peeling wallpaper, a futon that smelled like regret, skipping classes, sketching furious abstracts of fractured skies and shadowed figures. My phone stayed dark. Jake's text stopped cold after that night, a wall of silence thicker than any ranch fence. William tried calling once, twice, leaving voicemails gravel rough with worry. Daniel, talk to me. We can fix this. But I let them pile up, fear coiling tighter. What fix? I torched the bridge, left Jake's trust in ashes. And William, God, William, he was the flame I chased, only to burn us all. A week in, guilt dragged me to the ranch under cover of dusk, the kind where headlights carve tunnels through the dark. The Hargrove spread sprawled under stars pricked like bullet holes, the house a squat rancher glowing warm against the barns. I parked at the gate, heart thudding, rehearsing apologies that tasted like lies. Footsteps crunched gravel, William, emerging from the shadows in jeans and a hoodie, face etched with exhaustion. Knew you'd come, he said. No anger, just relief raw as an open wound. He pulled me into a hug that crushed the air from my lungs, cedar and sweat enveloping me. Missed you, kid. Inside, the kitchen was a time capsule. Mugs chipped from years of mornings, a fridge humming like a lullaby. He poured coffee black as midnight, sliding a plate of leftover cobbler my way. Jake's at a friend's. Told him I'd handle this. His eyes searched mine, weary but fierce. He knows, Daniel. About us. The mug trembled in my grip. He hates me. Nah. He's hurt. Confused. Thinks I took advantage. Or you seduced me. Or some bullshit in between. William rubbed his jaw, stubble rasping. Raised him to see the world straight. You know? Black and white. It's gray as hell. And you, my voice was small. What do you see? He reached across the table, hand engulfing mine. You. A chance at something real. After all the nothing. His thumb stroked my wrist, pulse jumping under his touch. But Jake's my blood. Can't lose him. Won't lose you. We talked till the coffee went cold, plans half-formed, promises whispered. I corner Jake, lay it bare. Not a fling, but feelings deep as canyons. William nodded, but doubt shadowed his eyes. Be gentle. He's more fragile than he lets on. Then he kissed me, slow and anchoring, right there at the formica table, hands cupping my face like I was porcelain. It rebuilt me, brick by aching brick, until I believed in tomorrows. The confrontation came 2 days later. Jake's text to Kurt Park. Neutral ground. The lot behind the high school football field, where we dreamed big under floodlights. He leaned against his truck, arms crossed like barriers, face a storm cloud. You got 5 minutes, he said, not meeting my eyes. Jake, I'm sorry. Words tumbled out, raw and ragged. It wasn't planned. Your dad. He's. Save it. He cut me off. Voice whip-sharp. I trusted you. Both of you. And now, it's like I don't even know my own house. Tears glinted, unshed, and my chest cracked open. This was Jake. My brother in all but blood. The one who'd punched a bully for calling me fag in sophomore year. Who'd covered for me when I snuck out to pride parades downtown. Betrayal wasn't just his. It was mine, mirrored back. He's not replacing you, I pleaded. Or us. This is separate. Real. Real. He laughed bitter. Dad's twice your age, Danny. What happens when the shine wears off? You'll bail, like Mom did. Leave him, and me holding the pieces. The words landed like blows, echoing my own fears. But I stood firm. I love him, Jake. Not some crush. And I love you. Won't lose either. He deflated then, shoulders slumping, the fight leaching out. Just give me time. Don't make me choose. We hugged awkward, bones and history, and drove off separate ways. It wasn't forgiveness, but a crack in the ice enough to breathe. Relief was fleeting. William and I snatched moments like thieves. Late-night drives to the reservoir, where we'd park under cottonwoods and lose ourselves in each other, windows fogged with fog and fervor. He'd trace my tattoos, a compass rose on my ribcage, inked for direction, and murmur stories of his youth, wild rides in Wyoming that ended in bar fights and broken hearts. Always chased the horizon, he'd say, but it was runnin' from myself. I'd share my own ghosts, coming out to my mom over tacos, her silence louder than screams. The ex who ghosted after one too many, it's just a phase talks. In his arms, under star-strewn skies, we mended, laughed at bad country on the radio, made love fierce on truck seats, whispered futures where Jake toasted at our. Whatever this became. But cracks spiderwebbed. Whispers slithered through town. Neighbors eyeing William at the feed store, Jake's coach pulling him aside with concerned questions. Pressure mounted, a noose tightening. One night, after a rodeo where William competed, roping calves with precision that left me breathless, he came home hollow-eyed. Jake's coach cornered me. Said the team's talkin' 'bout how I'm distractin' the boys with my lifestyle. He spat the word like poison. Offered to talk sense into me. Rage boiled. Fuck him. We fight. He pulled me close, but his hold trembled. It's not just us, Daniel. Jake's future scholarships, scouts. Can't drag him through mud. Doubt crept in his voice, a serpent in Eden. Maybe we pump the brakes. For him, the words gutted me. You mean hide? Again. Not hide. Protect. But his eyes dodged mine, and I saw it, the retreat, walls rising swift as a prairie fire. The breaking came mid-November, frost glazing the pastures like sugar. We'd planned a quiet dinner, me cooking carnitas in his kitchen, teasing him about his two left feet dancing. Jake was at practice, the house ours. But as I stirred the pot, my phone buzzed, a photo from an unknown number. William, mid-laugh at the bar last week. Arm slung around some ranch hand, Mark, the divorced dad from the next county over. Caption, birds of a feather, or just playing both sides? Attached, a screenshot of texts William to Mark. Flirty, familiar, miss our rides. You up for trouble? My world inverted. Betrayal, hot and viscous, flooded my veins. I confronted him when he walked in, photo thrust like evidence. What the fuck is this? His face drained of color. Daniel. It's not. Save it. Echoes of Jake's words. Turned weapon. You said one night at a time. But this? While I'm pouring my soul out. Tears burned. But I held them. Spine steel. Mark's an old friend. Nothing happened. Swear it. He reached. Desperate. But I flinched back. It's harmless flirtin'. To cope. With the mess we're in. Cope? Laughter cracked. Ugly. By stringing me along? I'm done being your secret. William. Done. I stormed out. Carnitas scorching behind me. The doors slam a finality. Days bled into isolation. Jake texted once, heard. Sorry, man. Dad's a messed up. A bridge extended, but I couldn't cross. William's calls went to voicemail. His texts, please. Let me explain. I love you. But trust, fragile as spun glass, lay shattered. I drowned in sketches, dark swirls of ravines and riders vanishing into storms, questioning every touch, every whisper. Was it real, or just a rancher's diversion from loneliness? Then the accident. Jake called at midnight, voice wrecked, Dad's hurt. Rodeo gone wrong. Hospital. Come. I flew through red lights, heart in my throat, bursting into the ER where fluorescent buzzed like wasps. Jake paced, eyes red-rimmed, while William lay pale in a bed, arm in a cast, ribs taped from a bull's wild buck. Concussion, fractures, nothing fatal, but the sight of him broken undid me. Daniel, he rasped, seeing me, hand outstretched. I took it, crumbling into the chair, tears spilling free. Idiot. Chasing trouble again, his laugh wheezed pain. Only the kind worth it. Jake slipped out, giving us space, and we talked raw, unfiltered. The texts, a stupid rebound impulse, born of fear when Jake's coach threatened to bench him over family drama, pushed you away to protect him. But lost myself instead. His eyes, bruised and earnest, stripped me bare. You're it, Daniel. The horizon I want to chase. Forgiveness wasn't easy. Scars lingered, jagged reminders. But love, stubborn as sagebrush, rooted deeper. Then fight for it, I whispered. All of us. Winter clamped down hard that year. Snow blanketing the ranch like a shroud, turning the world to muffled whites and blues. William healed slow, cast itching like madness, ribs protesting every cough, but he threw himself into therapy with the same grit he'd roped Bronx. Physical, and the other kind, sessions in a dingy office downtown, unpacking decades of buried ache. Turns out, he told me over cocoa by the fire one night, Jake awkwardly present but thawing. I was running from more than mom's ghost. From me. From wantin' what I wanted. Jake shifted, uncomfortable, but nodded. His own counseling unearthed anger at the divorce, a feeling like the leftover piece. We three circled it cautious, like wolves around a kill. Game nights with cards and cautious laughs. Trail walks on snowshoes where silences spoke volumes. It wasn't seamless. Jake's jabs landed sharp sometimes. Don't hog the couch. Lovebirds. But it was progress. A fragile truce forged in honesty. Me and William, we rebuilt deliberate, like stacking stones after a flood. No more shadows. Dates in plain sight. Diner booths in Boulder, where waitresses winked and poured extra syrup. Hikes in El Dorado Canyon. Hands laced open under indifferent skies. He taught me to two-step in the barn. Radio crooning George Strait. his boot tapping mine till laughter dissolved the stumbles. "You're a natural liar," he'd tease, spinning me close. But hell on rhythm. Nights blurred into mornings tangled in his bed. Now mine too. Duffel unpacked in the corner. A rhythm of gasps and graces. His body a landscape I mapped with lips and limbs. "Love you," he'd murmur post-storm, fingers tracing my spine, and I'd echo it back, the words a balm on old wounds. But the world outside wasn't so forgiving. Town murmured, Hargrove's boy toy, rancher's midlife crisis, and it hit Jake hardest. Scouts pulled back. Whispers of distractions, in the locker room turning his dream scholarship to smoke. One night, after a brutal practice where the coach benched him for focus issues, he exploded at dinner, fork clattering plate, voice rising. "This is your fault. You two parading around like it's normal. Ruining everything." William's face tightened, but he stayed even. "Son, love ain't a scandal. It's the point. For you, maybe. But I'm the one paying." Jake shoved back, storming to his room, door vibrating the walls. I followed, knocking soft. "Jake, talk." He cracked the door, eyes wet. "I want it all, team, family, normal. But you make it impossible." My heart twisted. "Normal's a lie we tell kids. You deserve real, whatever that looks for you." We talked till dawn, him admitting fears of his own, crushes on teammates buried deep, a closet within a closet. "Don't want to end up like Dad, hidin' till it breaks." I hugged him fierce, brother to brother. "Then don't. We're in this, all of us." Spring thawed the rift slow. Jake landed a walk-on spot at CU Boulder, smaller than dreams, but solid, and we celebrated with a barbecue. Neighbors drifting over despite the gossip, drawn by William's charm and fresh ribs. Mark showed too. Awkward handshake with me, apology mumbled over beers. Misread signals. "Sorry, man." I nodded, grudge dissolving in the grill smoke. William's eyes said told you, but we let it lie. The real test came Memorial Day, a charity ride for wounded vets, William's pet project. He asked me to crew. Need my good luck charm. Jake tagged along, cap backward, helping hitch trailers. The event sprawled across a mesa south of town. Tents flapping in wind, flags snapping crisp, horses nickering in pens. Riders gathered, cowboys in chaps, soldiers with prosthetics and grins, families picnicking on the sidelines. We saddled up side by side. Me on Luna, now a pro. William on Maverick. Jake scouting the course. The starting gun cracked, and we surged into the dust. A thunder of hooves and cheers. The trail looped brutal, arroyos plunging deep, switchbacks clawing up red rock faces. Wind whipped fierce, kicking grit in our teeth. But the rhythm steadied me, hoofbeat heart, rein hand hold. William rode close, our stirrups kissing at turns, his whoop carrying over the gale. This is livin'. Halfway, a rider ahead wiped out, horse stumbling, man tumbling into scrub, and we veered to help, William dismounting swift to splint a twisted ankle. Easy, partner, he coached, voice calm command, while I held the spooked mare. Jake radioed medics, efficient as any scout, and in that chaos, we clicked, a unit, unbreakable. The finish line blurred through sweat-stung eyes, crowd roaring as we crossed. Jake took third in his heat, metal glinting, and hugged us both, no hesitation, just pride. Team Hargrove Ruiz, he grinned, and the label stuck, warm as summer sun. But climax brewed darker. That night, back at the ranch, a knock shattered the afterglow. Sheriff Ellis, William's old poker buddy, hat in hand, face grave. Hate to do this, Will, but got a complaint. Assault. The air sucked out. What? William stood, color draining. Mark's ex says you roughed him up last month, after he propositioned you at the feed store. Claims witnesses. Lies. We knew Mark's ex, bitter from custody wars, twisting a shove into felony. But the optics, rancher outed, tangled in gay drama, suddenly violent, it stank of small-town vengeance, the kind that painted us all as threats. Interrogation room downtown. Sterile walls, coffee bitter as regret. William sat straight, recounting the truth. Mark's ex lunging drunk, him pushing back once. No more. Witnesses corroborated, but the charge stuck provisional. Bail set high. Jake paced the hall, fury masking fear. I held his hand, whispering, he'll beat this, but doubt gnawed, the town, the team, the fragile peace. Reporters sniffed around by morning. Local rancher in altercation. Love triangle? Splashing our story across feeds, turning private ache public spectacle. William posted bail with ranch collateral, emerging hollow-cheeked but defiant. Ain't hidin' anymore, he declared at the kitchen table, Jake and me flanking him. We'll fight lawyers, petitions, whatever. But together. Jake nodded, jaw set. I squeezed his knee under the table. Anchor in the storm. The trial loomed summer-long, a shadow over barbecues and trail rides. We rallied, neighbors testifying to character, Jake's coach recanting biases in a deposition that smelled of redemption. Mark himself showed, clearing the air, ex's lion. Will's solid, but the betrayal cut deepest. Not the charge, but the exposure. William confessed nights. Voice breaking. Feels like 98 all over. Coming out to mom. Her tin cold. Thought I'd outrun it. I'd hold him then. Fierce. You did. With us. Climax hit August court. Sweltering heat pressing the gallery like judgment. The ex took the stand. Spinning venom, aggressive queer. Handsy. And the room tensed. Whispers hissing. William gripped my hand under the bench. Knuckles white. Then cross. Our lawyer dismantling lies with timestamps. Alibis. A dashcam clip from the store showing the truth. A drunken swing. William's restraint. The judge dismissed charges mid-afternoon. Gavel cracking like thunder. Cheers erupting soft from our corner. Outside, sun slanted gold. And Jake bear-hugged his dad. Tears mixing with laughs. Knew you'd ride it out. William pulled me in third. Circle tight. Couldn't without my boys. But his eyes on me held depths. Gratitude. Love. A vow renewed. Fall gilded the aspens again. A year cycling full. But we changed scarred. Stronger. Roots entwined like old oaks. The ranch hummed with new rhythm. Jake commuting to Boulder. Crashing weekends with stories of keggers and queer alliance meetings he joined on a dare. Turns out, he'd grin over breakfast burritos. I'm bi as hell. Blame you two for the inspiration. We'd toast with mugs. Laughter easy now. The once fractured family reforged in fire's temper. William and I, we bloomed quiet, profound. Mornings started with coffee on the porch. His arm around my shoulders as coyotes yipped farewell to dawn. I'd sketch him there, pencil capturing the lines etched deeper by trials, but softened by peace. while he planned the day's chores, voice a low drawl that still sent shivers. "Got that trail in mind," he'd say, nodding to the hills. "The one where it all started, and we'd ride, not as escape, but celebration. Luna and Maverick neck and neck, wind a lover's caress, hands brushing reins like old habit." The unforgettable moment crested one October eve, echoes of that first storm. We'd packed a picnic, simple, sandwiches and cider, to the overlook where thunder had nearly claimed me. Sunset bled crimson across the plains, painting us in firelight as we spread a blanket, horses grazing lazy. Jake begged off, "Got a date. Y'all behave," leaving us the vista alone. William pulled a small box from his saddlebag, velvet worn soft. "Not much for speeches," he said, kneeling awkward in the dirt, eyes walnut warm. "But life's too short for half measures. Daniel Ruiz, you crashed into my world and made it whole. Ride it with me, forever." The ring glinted simple silver band with a turquoise inlay, Colorado's heart, and tears blurred it to rainbow. "Yes," I choked, pulling him up into a kiss that tasted of salt and forever. We made love there under fading light, bodies urgent and tender, the ravine below a silent witness to vows etched in skin. Word spread gentle. Announcements in the local rag, a reception at the barn with lanterns strung like stars. Neighbors came, some wary, most warm. Jake's coach toasting with a wink, Mark clapping William's back. My mom flew in from L.A. Abuela's rosary clutched, but her hug at the altar said absolution. "Amor y es amor," she whispered, and I believed her. Years wove on like good rope. Jake graduated, scouted by a semi-pro team in Austin, but he visits holidays, trailing a boyfriend now, a lanky artist like me, the four of us trading stories over pie. William and I expanded the ranch, eco-tours for queer youth, trails named for storms survived. Age creeps, his hair silver full, my sketches graying at temples, but the pull endures, that gut-deep tether from a rainy ravine. One dawn, riding the old loop, he reins in, turning with that grin. "Still got me? Always." I lean across, kissing him dust-sweet. The world stretches vast, plains to peaks, past to promise, and in it, we're home. Not perfect, not without scars, but human, flawed, fierce, loved. The ride goes on, horizon endless, and we've learned to trust the gate.